This just into the news desk. A massive coordinated sting has resulted in the seizure of 52 tons and the arrest of 20 high-profile politicians.
3 minutes ago, the Department of Justice confirmed what investigators have been calling the largest coordinated cartel infrastructure takedown in American history. Over 52 tons of narcotics seized, 20 high-ranking politicians arrested, a logistics empire that stretched from the Texas-Mexico border all the way to the Great Lakes, dismantled in a single night. This is not a drug bust. This is the exposure of a shadow government built inside the state of Texas, engineered by one of the most dangerous cartels on the planet and protected by the people we elected to stop them. You think you know how deep corruption goes. You have no idea what they found inside that bunker. 4:17 a.m., Laredo, Texas. The air is thick with border dust and diesel fumes. The streets are dead quiet except for the low rumble of 18-wheelers idling near the commercial district. Fog rolls in from the Rio Grande, blanketing the warehouses in gray silence. But beneath that silence, over 300 federal agents are moving into position. FBI, DEA, ICE, DHS, SWAT units in full tactical black, Black Hawk helicopters circling overhead with spotlights dark, waiting for the signal. This is not a normal raid. This is a synchronized strike across 14 locations simultaneously, targeting what investigators are now calling the largest cartel logistics network ever embedded on U.S. soil. At exactly 4:22 a.m., the operation goes live. Flashbangs explode through reinforced steel doors. SWAT teams pour into a sprawling logistics compound on the outskirts of Laredo that, on paper, was registered as a freight forwarding company specializing in agricultural exports. Inside, agents find something else entirely. Rows of shrink-wrapped cocaine bricks stacked floor to ceiling like construction pallets, industrial scales, vacuum seal machines, fentanyl pill presses churning out thousands of counterfeit pills every hour. In the back rooms, duffel bags stuffed with cash in denominations so worn they smell like gasoline and sweat. Cartel members try to run. Some make it to side exits. Others are tackled in the loading bays with their hands still gripping AR-15s and encrypted radios. But it is what agents find in the subterranean level that changes everything. Behind a false wall in the warehouse manager's office, there is a steel door built into the concrete floor. It takes a breaching charge to open it. Inside, 20 feet underground, is a fully operational command bunker, not a stash house, not a safe room, a bunker, climate-controlled, soundproofed, lined with servers, encrypted hard drives, satellite communication arrays, and wall-mounted monitors displaying live feeds from border crossings, highway checkpoints, and port terminals across Texas. This is not a drug operation. This is a logistics empire with military-grade infrastructure. And sitting on the central desk inside a locked steel case is a laptop still logged into an encrypted network that will crack open the entire conspiracy. 6:33 a.m., FBI Cyber Forensics Division, San Antonio. Analysts have been working on the seized devices for 2 hours. When they finally break the encryption, what they see on the screen makes them go silent. A digital map of Texas. Red lines connecting over 40 shell companies, ghost corporations, fake trucking contractors, and sham logistics firms. Money flowing through offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Singapore. Contracts signed with state transportation departments. Federal grants approved for infrastructure projects that never existed. And at the center of it all, a code name that keeps appearing in every transaction, every communication log, every shipping manifest, Operation Iron Corridor. This is not a cartel trying to smuggle drugs into Texas. This is a cartel that turned Texas into the highway for the entire North American drug trade, and they did it with the help of the people who were supposed to be protecting the border. The laptop reveals the structure at the top, a logistics mogul named Victor Salazar, a Texas-born businessman who built a freight empire worth over $800 million in less than a decade. Publicly, he was a political donor, a philanthropist, a job creator who funded education programs and veteran support foundations. Privately, he was the cartel's finance architect. Every shipping route, every falsified customs document, every border crossing that looked clean on paper but moved 50 kilos of cocaine or 200,000 fentanyl pills at a time, all of it ran through his network. But Salazar was not working alone. The forensic team uncovers encrypted communications between Salazar and 20 state politicians, governors' aides, state senators, city council members, transportation commissioners, border security liaisons, all of them receiving monthly wire transfers disguised as consulting fees, campaign contributions, or payments to family-owned LLCs that existed only on paper. In exchange, they delivered what the cartel needed most: access, immunity, and silence. They relaxed inspection protocols at weigh stations during convoy windows. They approved zoning permits for warehouses that became drug fortresses. They funneled state contracts to Salazar's shell companies so cartel cash could be laundered through taxpayer-funded projects. They rerouted patrol grids so border agents would be miles away when shipments crossed. They leaked raid schedules so cartel members could vanish hours before federal teams arrived. This was not negligence. This was command-level collusion. This was a shadow government designed to keep the drugs moving and the money flowing, and the people of Texas never saw it coming. One encrypted message sent from a state senator named Marcus Hale to Salazar reads, "The corridor stays open. We control the checkpoints. Move your product, we'll handle the noise." That message was sent 3 days before a DEA task force planned to raid a suspected cartel warehouse in Houston. The raid found nothing. The warehouse had been emptied 12 hours earlier. Senator Hale's digital signature is all over the Operation Iron Corridor files, and he is not the only one. But if you think this is just about politicians on the take, you are not even close to understanding how deep this goes. Because what the FBI finds next will show you that the cartel did not just infiltrate the government. They rebuilt the system from the inside. 7:51 a.m., Federal Joint Command Center, Houston. A room full of maps, monitors, and federal coordinators from every major agency. On the main screen, a live tactical display shows the state of Texas covered in pulsing red markers. Each marker represents a location tied to Operation Iron Corridor, over 60 sites, warehouses in Houston, distribution hubs in Dallas, border tunnels near Laredo, cartel-owned nightclubs in Austin, human trafficking, safe houses in San Antonio, migrant smuggling corridors stretching from the Rio Grande all the way to Oklahoma and Arkansas. This is not a drug network. This is an empire. The operational commander, a DEA deputy director named Angela Cruz, gives the order. We hit them all, every location, every asset, every politician. We do it now, and we do it loud. At exactly 8 a.m., over 1,000 federal agents deploy across Texas in the largest coordinated cartel takedown operation in U.S. history. Black Hawk helicopters descend on ranch properties outside Laredo, where cartel leadership has been hiding in luxury compounds disguised as cattle operations. SWAT teams breach a 6-story warehouse in Houston that was supposed to be a cold storage facility for produce, but was actually a drug superlab producing methamphetamine and pressing fentanyl pills at industrial scale. Agents storm a high-rise office building in Dallas where Salazar's logistics empire had its corporate headquarters, seizing servers, financial records, and hard drives containing years of encrypted cartel communications. In a suburb outside San Antonio, federal agents surround a gated mansion owned by a city mayor named Thomas Garrett. Garrett was a two-term mayor who campaigned on border security and law enforcement support, is arrested in his driveway wearing a bathrobe and holding a cup of coffee. Inside his home office, agents find $2 million in cash hidden inside furniture, along with detailed ledgers showing payments from Salazar's shell companies dating back 4 years. Garrett coordinated with cartel operatives to ensure city police stayed away from certain shipping routes and warehouse districts during high-volume nights. In El Paso, agents uncover a tunnel system beneath a mechanic shop that connects directly to a warehouse on the Mexican side of the border. The tunnel is wide enough to drive a golf cart through. It has ventilation, lighting, and reinforced walls. Over the past 18 months, investigators estimate it was used to move 12 tons of cocaine, 8 tons of methamphetamine, and over 2.1 million fentanyl pills into Texas without ever crossing a monitored border checkpoint. Near the port of Houston, federal teams raid a shipping logistics firm that was processing container imports under the guise of automotive parts and industrial equipment. Inside the containers, hidden behind false panels and modified cargo frames, agents find hundreds of kilos of cocaine and heroin. Manifests show the containers were cleared through customs with falsified paperwork signed off by cartel-connected inspectors who received monthly payments from Salazar's network. In less than 6 hours, federal agents seize 52 tons of narcotics, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl pills in quantities large enough to kill millions. They confiscate over $130 million in cash, gold bars, and cryptocurrency wallets. They arrest 63 cartel members, financiers, and logistics coordinators, and they take 20 politicians into custody, from city council members to state senators, all of them linked to Operation Iron Corridor. The underworld took more damage in 6 hours than it had taken in the last 6 years. But as federal agents begin processing the seized materials, they realize the operation was bigger than anyone thought, because the corruption did not just run through the politicians, it ran through law enforcement itself. 10:14 a.m., FBI Evidence Processing Center, San Antonio. Analysts are going through the seized servers and communication logs. What they find makes seasoned investigators physically sick. Internal emails from Border Patrol supervisors instructing agents to avoid certain inspection zones during specific hours. Text messages between county sheriffs and cartel coordinators confirming convoy routes and safe passage windows. Payroll records showing that 17 law enforcement officers, from patrol deputies to senior sergeants, were receiving monthly payments from shell companies tied to Salazar's network. One Border Patrol agent, a 15-year veteran, had been feeding cartel operatives real-time updates on DEA surveillance operations. Another sheriff's deputy was paid $10,000 a month to falsify incident reports and make sure certain arrests never made it into the system. A state police lieutenant coordinated patrol schedules to create gaps in coverage along highway corridors where cartel convoys moved drugs from Laredo to Dallas. This was not a few bad apples. This was a parallel enforcement system. a second police force that worked for the cartel instead of the people. Honest officers who suspected something was wrong were reassigned, pushed out, or threatened into silence. Investigations that got too close to the truth were shut down by senior officials who had financial stakes in keeping the operation running. One retired DEA agent who had been trying to blow the whistle on corruption inside the department for 2 years is brought in to review the evidence. When he sees the names on the payroll, he breaks down. I told them, he says, I told them something was wrong. Nobody listened. They buried my reports. They said I was paranoid. And the whole time, the people sitting across from me in briefings were the ones protecting the cartel. Federal prosecutors begin building cases not just against the cartel members, but against the officers who enabled them. Charges include racketeering, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, obstruction of justice, and treason-level collusion with foreign criminal organizations. This is not just about taking down a drug network. This is about rebuilding trust in a system that was betrayed from the inside. But even as arrests continue, investigators realize the scale of Operation Iron Corridor extends far beyond Texas. 2:37 p.m., Department of Justice briefing room, Washington, D.C. An assistant attorney general named Rebecca Lynn stands at a podium in front of a wall of federal agency seals. She pulls up a continental map on the screen behind her. Red lines trace routes from Texas into Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Michigan. Each line represents a logistics pathway that Salazar's network used to move narcotics across the country. This was not a regional operation, Lynn says. This was a national infrastructure. Texas was the entry point, but once the drugs crossed the border, they were distributed through a web of cartel-controlled logistics firms that operated in 14 states, shipping containers, long-haul trucks, railway freight, even private aviation, all of it designed to look legal. All of it funded by a combination of cartel money and taxpayer dollars funneled through fraudulent state contracts. The map reveals how deep the corruption went. Salazar's network had received over $200 million in federal and state infrastructure grants over the past 5 years. Grants that were supposed to fund highway improvements, border technology upgrades, and freight efficiency projects. Instead, the money was used to build cartel logistics capacity. Warehouses that should have been agricultural distribution centers became drug fortresses. Technology systems that were supposed to improve border security were used to monitor law enforcement movements and avoid detection. One of the most chilling discoveries is a sealed file labeled Phase 3. Analysts who reviewed it describe it as a long-term cartel expansion plan. The goal was not just to move drugs through Texas. The goal was to turn Texas into a permanent cartel command hub, a state where politicians, law enforcement, and infrastructure were so deeply compromised that federal intervention would be nearly impossible. Phase 3 outlined plans to expand the network into energy sectors, real estate, and even state election financing, ensuring that the people who could shut down the operation would never get elected in the first place. This was not infiltration, this was colonization. The cartel was not hiding in Texas. They were building a future there. And if Operation Iron Corridor had not been exposed, that future was only a few years away. But it was exposed, and now the reckoning begins. 5:48 p.m., Federal Detention Center, Houston. Inside a holding facility, 20 politicians sit in separate cells, stripped of their titles, their power, and their freedom. Some of them still cannot believe it happened. Others are already negotiating plea deals, offering to testify against higher-level players in exchange for reduced sentences. Prosecutors are not interested in deals. They want accountability. They want trials. They want the public to see exactly how the system was sold out from the inside. Victor Salazar, the logistics kingpin at the center of it all, is arrested at a private airfield outside Austin as he tries to board a jet bound for Panama. He is wearing a tailored suit and carrying a briefcase with $2 million in cash and encrypted hard drives containing financial records that link him to cartel leadership in Mexico. When agents take him into custody, he says nothing he does not need to. The evidence speaks louder than any confession ever could. In the days that follow, more arrests are made. Cartel financiers, money launderers, shell company executives, corrupt customs officials. Every node in the network is being dismantled, one arrest at a time. The federal government is not just taking down a drug cartel, they are taking apart the infrastructure that made the cartel possible. But even as the arrests continue, the cost of what happened is already visible. Over the past 3 years, Texas saw a 47% increase in fentanyl overdose deaths. Neighborhoods in Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio were flooded with methamphetamine and heroin that moved through Salazar's logistics corridors without resistance. Families lost sons, daughters, parents, and friends to drugs that were supposed to be stopped at the border, but instead were waved through by the people we trusted to protect us. Human trafficking victims, many of them women and children, were moved through the same routes as the drugs, sold into exploitation because the cartel had turned the border into a business and politicians into partners. This is the real cost of corruption, not just the drugs, not just the money, the lives destroyed, the communities broken, the trust shattered. And it happened because power does not always need violence. Sometimes it just needs silence and ambition and people willing to look the other way as long as the money keeps coming. But silence has a cost, and ambition has a reckoning. Operation Iron Corridor is over. The politicians are in custody. The cartel network is dismantled. The logistics empire is in ruins. But the work is not done, because for every network that gets exposed, there are others still operating in the shadows, waiting for the next opportunity, the next corrupt official, the next system that can be bought. This story is a warning, a reminder that democracy is fragile, that power is always looking for cracks to exploit, that the people we elect to protect us can become the very threat we need protection from. If you are still watching this, tap like so more people see what really happened. Comment expose if you want corruption like this dragged into the light where it belongs. Share this story, because the more people know, the harder it is for the next Operation Iron Corridor to take root. And the next time someone tells you the system is broken, remember this: sometimes it is not broken, sometimes it is working exactly the way someone designed it. And the only question that matters is who that someone is working for, the cartels or the people.